Assalamu alaikum guys, welcome to my channel. After seeing the demo, a lot of you guys have been asking me to make a tutorial on how I made this website. So I've decided to make a series of tutorials on how to make a gaming website. I would be making different parts, and in each part we would have a deep look on each page of the website, and the code would also be explained. So without further ado, let's start. As you can see, this here is the first page, which I have named as the home page, and we would be making something very similar to this. The home page right here is currently active, that is why it's in orange. Similarly, the other pages would also turn orange or yellow the same way, but for now focus is on the home page. The other pages would be mentioned and explained further in the upcoming parts. This here is a list of video tutorials with their titles mentioned, and as you can see, on hovering over them the names would get orange. On scrolling down you could see the videos arranged in rows. You could play a video by either clicking on their name.
Hey guys, welcome back to Unity Gurus. If you already know this process,
You can also adjust the volume, adjust the screen view, or you could play a video by just clicking on the video.
hey guys, welcome back to Unity Gurus. In this video, we'll learn how to lighten.
In this portion of the video, we would have a look on the interface and things that have been used to make the interface more interactive. From sounds to hovering effects, from box shadows to animation, etc. Starting from the top, we have a navigation bar with the black background, and at the top left corner of the navigation bar we have our logo. In the center, we have hyperlinks of different pages. Hyperlink is basically a reference to data that the user can follow by clicking or tapping, or it's just a link that would take you from one location to another. As the home page is currently active, that is why it's in orange. On pressing other hyperlinks, they would take us to different pages. As you can see, we have navigated to the assets page. Similarly, on pressing the games hyperlink, it would take us to the games page. Similarly, we have the login and sign up hyperlinks as well, and on pressing the login hyperlink, it would take us to the login form. So this here is our sign-in form where the user could just write its name and password and can easily sign in to our website. We would be moving into the details of sign-in form later in the upcoming videos. Note that on hovering over these hyperlinks, an orange background and an orange box shadow seems to glow with the two lines that animate. This is simply the CSS effects, which is explained in the coding portion of the video. Other than that, whenever you hover over these hyperlinks and the name of the videos, the sound can be heard. This is simply JavaScript that is used and would be further explained in the upcoming portion of the video. There is another sound that can be heard on pressing these hyperlinks. This also is JavaScript, and this would also be explained further. Below the navigation bar, we have a heading that says the best video tutorials for you. This is basically an H1 tag, and the H1 is an HTML tag that indicates a heading on a website. As we are starting from HTML and CSS, So the ones who are new to web engineering should know the difference between HTML and CSS. HTML, which stands for Hypertext Markup Language, is used to create the actual content of a page, such as written text, pictures, or videos. Whereas CSS, which stands for Cascade Styling Sheet, is responsible for the design or style of the website, including the layout, visual effects, and background color. The screen on the left is where we would be writing the code for HTML, whereas the screen on the right side is where we would be writing the code for CSS. On the left screen, we have the HTML tag, which represents the root of an HTML document. The HTML tag is basically the container for all other HTML elements. You should always include the lang attribute inside the HTML tag and to declare the language of the web page. This is meant to assist search engines and browsers. The next tag is the head tag, which is a container for metadata and is placed between the HTML tag and the body tag. I have saved my HTML file as part1.html, and on clicking it, this output would appear. As you can see on the top, the first tab that's opened is named as homepage. It's because we named it as homepage in between the title tags. So the next thing that we want to do is add this background. As I've mentioned earlier, that background is styling and styling is CSS. So we would have to make another folder, name it as CSS. And in that folder we would download the picture that we want to use as a background. So this here is the downloaded picture named as bg.jpg. For those of you who are new, should know that for every HTML file there is a CSS file to style it, to design it. So as you can see on the right, we've made a CSS file named as part1.css. And for the CSS files, we should have a folder named as CSS that should be saved along with the HTML files. Here is the folder CSS along with the HTML file. More HTML files would be created as we want, and in the CSS folder, we would have CSS files. So this here is the CSS file, which we have created and saved in the folder. And to save the folder file, the next thing we should do is linking the HTML file with the CSS file, and for that, in between the head tag, we need to write link rel is equal to. So this line over here would link the CSS with the HTML, and whatever styling you'll do in the CSS would be displayed. And now as we want our background to be displayed, for that in the body element, as we want the background, the whole on the body we would write background image URL, and the name of our picture was bg.jpg. Save it, and on refreshing we will get the image. This picture is not quite aligned, so for aligning it and positioning it in the right manner, we would have to write background repeat should be no repeat, and the background size should be cover. Save it, and that looks fine. So the next thing that we want to do is this navigation bar, the hyperlinks on the navigation bar, the logo. So let's start. On the HTML, under the head tag, we need to include the body tag. And then within the body tag, we need to mention the navigation tag. Let's now set the properties for navigation bar. in the CSS file we write nav background should be black. Let's set the height to, let's say, 120 pixels. The width should be 100%. We should justify the content with space between. The items that would be on the navigation bar should be in the center. Border bottom, that orange line should be 1px with solid orange. Let's now save it, and on refreshing we would get this. So here's the black background, the line, orange line known as the bottom border, but I think the height is too much, so let's just decrease the height. The next thing which we want to do is include this logo over here on the left corner of the navigation bar, and for that we need to place the logo image in the along with the HTML files. The images which are not used in styling would be placed with the HTML files, and the other ones would be in the CSS folder. This right here is our logo named as logo.jpg, and we're gonna just include it in the HTML file. As we want to place the logo within the navigation bar, for that in between the navigation elements and tags we need to write image src source is equal to the name of our image, which was logo.jpg, and we're gonna set the width of it like 10%. Save it, refresh it, and here we have our logo. The problem is that our logo is not positioned. We need to move it a little bit upwards and a little bit left. For that we need to set its margins. We need to tell our CSS what our logo is represented as, and whenever we want to represent something we include it in a class, and for that the syntax is div class is equal to, let's say, logo, close the brackets, and over here let's close the div. Let's now tell our CSS to give our logo a margin top of, let's say, -20px. Save it and let's check. It's fine, it's perfect. Next thing are the hyperlinks. Hyperlink, assets hyperlink, games, calendar, contacts, login, and sign up. To make the list we need to, under the nav bar we need to write ul unordered list, and within that unordered list we need to make a list. href is equal to, for now href is basically when you click some button, where should you go? For now we need to go nowhere, so we should put a hashtag. After that we name it as home. Here is it, and then on saving and refreshing it you could see this home right here. Similarly we'll do it for assets, games, calendar, contacts, login, and sign up, and it should look like this. Next thing is we should just position them on top of on the center of the navigation bar and give them a white color. Now to bring our unordered list on top and on the center of our navigation bar, we would write this: height should be 8 rem. The style of the list, we don't want any type of style, so let's leave it to none. Display flex would be better. Font size 1.1 rem. The content should be at the center, so let's justify it in the center. We should give it the margin right of 130 px and the margin top, let's say -40 px. Save that. Yes, as you can see, it's now in the center. Now we would give it a color of white and space in between each hyperlink. For that, now for the list and the unordered list, we need to change its settings and properties to, let's say, the text should be aligned in the center. Again, the display should be inline block. Inline block means that it'll adjust it, the text would be adjusted itself. If it's too big, it'll come on the next line, and otherwise it will just come along with next to the other text. Line height 80 px. The margin should be set to 5 px. And last but not least is the margin top, which let's say -20. Now let's save and check it. As you can see, there's a space between each hyperlink, and now we need to change its color and font size, etc. For setting the properties of each hyperlink, we change the unordered list and the hyperlinks in it are represented by A. So there are a lot of font families available, but the most commonly used one and the one that looks pretty much nice is the sans serif. Use it. Color of each hyperlink should be white. The font size 20 would be fine, so set it 20 pixels. Radius, let's set it to 3 px. Margin, we should give each hyperlink a margin between each other, so the margin right should be about 30 px. I've set some other settings too, like word spacing. Space between each word is 50 px. The position is relative. Relative position means that as you scroll down, the things won't scroll down with it. They won't be fixed, but they'll just stay at the place where you want them to stay. And the padding is basically the size between the border and the screen, so it's set to 10 px. Now let's see the output. I think we need to move it a little bit right. For that, we need to give a margin from the left side, so let's just give it the margin. Now let's get into the nav UL settings. Go to margin left, set it to 190, save it, refresh it, and it's perfect. So we're done with the navigation bar. The next thing is the heading and the names of the videos. For that, we need to go to the HTML. Under the navigation bar, we would make a class, name it as main, and in that we would write a heading, the best video tutorials for you. Now we've included it between the h1 tag. h1, as I've mentioned earlier, is used for heading. h1 is the biggest size which is commonly used as the heading. It's from h1 till h6. h6 is the least commonly used size and it's the most shorter size, whereas the h1 is the biggest size. And span is basically if you want to do something special to a word or something, you include it in a span. I've put the word video between the span, and I've also put the word for between the span. It's because I want to turn the words video and for in orange. For doing that, I'll simply go to my CSS, write span over here, and color orange. Save it, run it over here. The heading which I wanted is not visible. It's because it's somewhere out of the screen. To make it come under the navigation bar, and on the left side we need to change its properties, set its margins. Now as we want to make changes in the heading which is in the main class, we write dot main h1, and in the brackets we write display blocks, so that if the words are big they may come to the next line. We set the width to 100% and we give a margin top 50. These are all the settings you need for your heading. Save it, run, and let's see, it's just perfect the way we want it to be. The next thing under the heading is the names of the videos and giving box shadows to them. For that you would need to make a div within the div. Let's name that div as div class subname, and in that class we would like to make the names of the videos, and on pressing the videos should be played. For that we need to include href equals to, for now it's nothing. The linkage would be shown in the upcoming parts, but for this video we're just learning how to do some general settings. So for that, let's then write a paragraph, the name of the video, let's say ABC, close the paragraph. Let's see what happens now. We have it, but it's too small, so we need to just see the properties. We would need to put it in span, let's say span 20. Close the span. And 20, let's change the settings to this. Margin top is set to 30, displays inline block, which as always is 100%. Color we need white. Font family is sans serif. The size should be 20px. We need it in uppercase, so we change the transform to uppercase, and as we want it on the left side, so we set the plot to left. Other than that, we also need to change the paragraph settings. So over here, submit p, and the settings should be similar to this. The background should be white and transparent. For transparent, we set the RGBA to these figures right here. The box shadow is basically the white glow that is behind. We change its settings to this, and as we wanted white, the whole shadow should be white, so we set it to white. Width should be 50% over here. We don't want any margin, and the padding as always should be 10px. So this is exactly what we wanted. It's very similar to this one. hovering over it, it should turn orange. For that we need to go to our CSS, and as we want our paragraph that is in the submain class to hover, and its box shadow should turn into orange whenever we hover on it, we would write this. With this, saving this, you can see as we hover on it, it becomes orange, showing that we have selected this one. Similarly, you could do it for other names as well. It's pretty much enough for this video. In the next video, we will be learning on adding videos, sound effects on hovering, sound effects on pressing buttons, and these glows. Thank you so much. Do leave your comments if you want me to add something, and subscribe if you like the video. Allah Hafiz.